This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, the Spurs, of course, heading towards the home stretch of the regular season, prioritizing health above all else. And when you're the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, that's the most paramount. But it's even better when you can rest your guys, get them healthy, and then watch some of the other guys step up in their place, and not only step up, do it in a pretty impressive fashion. That's the case tonight at the FrostBank Center. Welcome into the Spurs Postcast right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the world. He's NBA champion Devin Brown. I'm Casey Viera. We have a whole host of new viewers coming into the program tonight, as we're currently streaming live on the Locked On NBA channel and then the Locked On Podcast Network channel. So if this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome. We do this after every Spurs game. Obviously, the show's called the Spurs Postcast. You put 2 and 2 together. We have a good time doing it, much like we're going to do it again tonight. San Antonio taking care of business against the Portland Trail Blazers, a 112-101 victory without Victor, without Castle. Portland, to their credit, it was competitive for sure, but San Antonio as a whole made the plays when they needed to, and they walk away with a nice victory, win number 61 on the season.
Absolutely, Casey. We got some great things to talk about tonight. Welcome, everybody, our new audience and some of our old audience. So, Casey, let's have a great show.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, so the Trailblazers, to refresh your memory, have already won in San Antonio once this season. We're trying to become the 6th team in the league. That's it, to say that they beat the Spurs twice this year. Firmly in contention for that 8th spot, battling the Clippers, came in only a half game back. They've had a pretty impressive season, one of the more impressive showings, of course, under the direction of Thiago Splitter. So definitely a lot on the Portland side to play for tonight. And then on the Spurs side of things, again, no Victor nursing that rib contusion. Stephon Castle just a little bit of maintenance, if you will, on the knees. And as a result, it led to Dylan Harper in the starting lineup, Luke Kornet in the starting lineup. Both of them did a very impressive job tonight, especially in the first quarter of play. It was actually the backcourt, though, that really sets the tone, because with Victor out, Castle out, you know, it means that Harper and Fox are going to get the green light to do a lot of things, and they did exactly that in the first quarter. They combined for 18, Fox 11, and Harper with 8. San Antonio by 9 after 1 quarter of play, up by as many as 15 in the first half. They finished with a 10-point halftime advantage. Fox goes for 16 in the first half before they head to the halftime break. But this Portland Trailblazers team, they just did not go away, and they kind of have a lot of the things on this Spurs roster, I guess, play to the Spurs weaknesses a little bit. Big physical wings that really can stir things up and can make some shots when presented. And they actually cut that deficit all the way down to 4. But a 13-2 run right before the conclusion of the quarter. Keldon, Carter Bryant, Dylan Harper, all making big plays, defense leading to offense, doing good things. Ultimately, it balloons that advantage back up to 15. It's looking like the Knights pretty much coming to a close, because they go up by 17 in the fourth quarter. But again, those Trailblazers, they won't go away. They go on an 11-1 run to cut it down to a 6-point game with 3.5 to go. But 2 consecutive plays, a De'Aaron Fox 3, and then they get a stop. Luke Kornet on a run-out dunk. 11-point advantage it is with 3 minutes left. And that, for all intents and purposes, did it. Fox goes for 25, 5 and 7 on 10 of 20 from the field. Keldon Johnson, 20 and 8 points. Carter Bryant, will hit on more on him in a minute. He has 17. Harper 13, 6 and 4. San Antonio 61 and 19 now on the season, going into their final 2 home games of the year. Nice win, competitive game. They close things out against a team they could potentially play in the first round of the playoffs, and a good professional win tonight at the FrostBank Center.
Yeah, absolutely. And led by, De'Aaron Fox's 25. The Spurs, came out tonight and took care of business. We all knew that Victor, after the collision the other night, he was going to be out. But it was a surprise to me that Castle was going to be out as well. But that's how deep this San Antonio team is. Guys stepped up tonight. Dylan Harper stepped right in there. And Casey, what you're seeing and what's important here is the fact that these guys, we talked about it before, Victor was ruled out. He's playing at an MVP level, 30 points, 40 points, doing things to really change the game. And before the playoffs start, you're going to need the others to come up there. Well, nights like this, when you see the things that happen on the court tonight, is very important. Fox, not only leading the team in points, but getting to 20 shots. All right, that was important. We talked about that. And seeing him get up there and get those 20 shots up was great. Keldon's just been fantastic, all year long. Vassell's solid tonight. Harrison Barnes had a couple of big plays in there. But I'll tell you what, Carter Bryant, we talked about this as well. It's big to get him reps. You saw him at the backup 5 spot. He can spread the floor. He can take you off the dribble. But most importantly, Casey, he can guard you. And so it was good to see him out there and good to see him play well.
Yeah, collectively as a whole, they really did a great job setting the tempo early. Portland did a good job matching it to their credit, but the Spurs, using a lot of the things that have gotten them to where they are, right? 26 points off turnovers is what the numbers read, in part to the likes of everyone you just said. I thought this was really important for De'Aaron Fox. This was something we talked about for you guys in the chat. If you were here for our Spurs squad show last night, we kind of knew that Victor was going to be out. We weren't sure Steph Castle was going to be out, but the point that we were getting at was De'Aaron was going to need one of these games where he just, to put it bluntly, just needed to go out there and chuck. Just go out there, find his rhythm, get 20 shots to get in that groove for the playoffs, because there's going to be spots where he needs to do exactly that in all likelihood. And this was big on that front. This was important on that front that he got that. And for the most part, he took advantage of it. He'd been putting up about 25 without Victor. The team as a whole, by the way, moves to 12-5 without Victor Wembanyama. That 25 points is what his average was. Fox, I guess, is when Wemby does not play. So all good things as a result of the work he does, and very much a result. And you heard Devin say it there a minute. Keldon fantastic tonight, but really the bench as a whole, truly the X factor.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
48 points is what the number reads. The standouts there, Keldon with 20, Carter Bryant with 17, 5 of 6 from distance. And what was interesting about Carter Bryant was he played a majority of his minutes at the backup 5. And Mitch only went 9 deep, really kind of 8 deep, because Jordan McLaughlin only played 9 minutes. In many respects, played 8 deep, and Carter Bryant was used primarily as that backup 5, something that we've seen in little pinches here and there, depending on the matchup. And now that I think about it, this is probably thinking about this out loud. This Portland team is probably the biggest squad that Mitch has employed that with. Between Klingon and some of those wings out there. Robert Williams is a horse too.
Yeah.
That's another aspect of it that was pretty impressive in itself, was that it wasn't no kind of small ball 5 that was out there. These are physical guys, and Carter Bryant matched that tonight.
Yeah, he did. No, but Klingon really, he hangs around that 3-point line, goes into dribble handoffs with some of the Portland guards. So, Mitch and them did a good job of scouting things like that. And so you can get away with playing Carter at the 5. Because he is a physical player in his own right. So it was where it really helped San Antonio was on the offensive end, because Klingon was playing off of him, Williams playing off of him. So when Carter Bryant would catch it, and he either had the dribble handoff, or you saw a couple of his threes, 2 or 3 of them, where he'd set the back screen. Well, that big has to honor that, because he got a guard flying off of there, whether it's Harper, Vassell, whoever it is. And now you step right into your 3. Matter of fact, I think, Mitch, one of those plays was designed for Carter Bryant to get the 3 after a timeout. I'll have to watch the game again to make sure. But, no, he was fantastic. And that's what, the Spurs, that's what we're going to need out of him as the playoffs approach very quickly.
Yeah, I think just that's really kind of the gift and the curse of playing without Victor Wembanyama for an extended period of time. So it is maybe not extended, but at times this season, and being forced to navigate in kind of unique fashions that you might not have thought you'd been able to. Initially, this was kind of like Jeremy Sohan's spot in this. where he would be inserted as that small ball five. Obviously, Jeremy Sohan's not here anymore, and Carter Bryant is the reason why. Did we think that we'd probably see him be used as that small ball five in this spot all the way back in January? Probably not. But as we've learned tonight, it's the type of thing that really can go a long way. Just another thing that plays into Mitch Johnson's hands when the playoffs start this time. I guess probably 10 days? Yeah, 10 days or so from now. A lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me say this because what you're bringing up is very important. And so from the locker room standpoint, Carter Bryant and what's going on is they're saying, young man, we need you on the floor. All right. So in any, whatever that takes, 5, 4, because if you look at it, the Spurs are very stacked, between 2 and 4. There's a lot of wing players on this roster. There's a lot of combo players on this roster. So, but a Carter Bryant, you're going to need him. All right. So yeah, put him at the 5. Casey, when I was with San Antonio, I played the 4. I had to guard Amari Stoudemire because my good buddy, Tim, this was a healthy, both knees were working at this time. My good buddy Tim Duncan was getting a little bit of foul trouble, so Pop put me on Amari Stoudemire. So when I see Carter Bryant, I see a lot in where I developed with San Antonio, and I see them doing that. We need you on the floor. You can play 1 through 5. Just don't ever complain.
Standing tall and talented. How did that work out for you?
Nash was pretty good, and they exposed the matchup a couple times, but that's all right, Casey. We all live with it.
Hall of Famer Amari Stoudemire, now that I say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Soon to be Hall of Famer. Good for Stat.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, he was. Well, you saw it firsthand. That's for
sure.
All right.
Him flying by me.
Yeah, right. Very much so. All right. The Spurs high flyer, Victor Wembanyama, is expected to be playing in one of these last 2 games of the season. Perhaps it will be against Dallas coming up on Friday when the Mavericks pay a visit to the Alamo City. We'll talk about whether that is going to be the move to hit that 20-minute quota against Dallas, and an interesting part of how they navigate De'Aaron Fox going into the weekend as well. That and a little bit more coming up next on the Spurs postcast right here on Locked On Spurs. Following a nice victory for an undermanned San Antonio team, they take care of business against the Portland Trailblazers. And much like you guys at home, it's always easier when your businesses can take care of business, so to speak, right? Because we're in the spring, as you know, it's the natural reset point. But if there's one thing that can quietly cost you a good chunk of money, it's messy communication with the missed calls, scattered texts, a thread of who said what. It's frustrating. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo. It's the smarter way to run your business communications. The #1 business rated phone system on G2, 3,000 reviews, more than 90,000 businesses will vouch for it. It lets your entire team share one business number. So those calls, those texts, they never go by the wayside. You never miss an opportunity. So make this season where no customer goes to waste. Try Quo for free. Get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnba, quo.com/lockedonnba with Quo. No missed calls and no missed customers. Also, want to remind you that 2 more games, like I said, is coming up on the homestand here before the playoffs start. Again, in about 10 days, so to speak, at least on the Spurs side of things. Playing games are next week, and where every possession matters, every matchup magnified. It's a way that every time we watch these things, putting a little something on it makes it that much more fun. And FanDuel's doing exactly that. You can bet just $5 right now and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. If you're new to the game, the app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, matchups, all in one place. So head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. And as always, play your game. And finally, it's almost that day. It is almost tax day, a little over a week away, the 16th on his way. For a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes, yeah, we know it's a lot. Trying to book an appointment, that's not the most convenient. Sit in the waiting rooms with the stacks of paper, emailing back and forth with hoping, just hoping to get your situation right. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade now with Inuit TurboTax. In-person locations, they got them all over the nation. You can meet face-to-face with a real expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot, and that's it. You're done. Your expert works to get you every dollar, every cent that you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you're going about your day. So it's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing the taxes are being handled right. Head on over to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. A professional win, if you will, we'll call it. San Antonio Spurs, a 112-101 triumph, if you will, over the Portland Trailblazers as they continue their homestand, their final 2 home games of the regular season. And we know that Victor Wembanyama has to play 20 minutes in at least one of them. I think you and I are both kind of in the boat that it needs to be Friday against the Mavericks. I don't want to speak for you, but I guess now I did. So we're on the same page. Yes, the Mavericks, Friday.
Yeah, if I had to pick between Dallas and Denver, yeah, I'd go Dallas because it gives me an extra day of rest.
I think so as well. It gives you the extra days of rest, and if something happens, so to speak, Victor gets rung for some reason. Crazier things have happened, at least gives you one more day to do exactly that. Plus, Dallas is not really playing for anything, so I think we're both on the same page on that front. So something I think is interesting though. And what Mitch Johnson and De'Aaron Fox might have to have a conversation with over the next few days is that tonight, knowing that Fox had that volume very readily available and took advantage of it, the 20 shots that he's not going to get that opportunity to do such, he really found a rhythm. And it's the first time in a while that we've seen him kind of get that green light, right? So I pose a question to you. Is this kind of in a spot where, I don't want to say you prioritize that over his health, but you really have to be mindful of what you're doing, that if you come off a really good performance like that, do you not just want to risk killing that momentum that we saw tonight?
So with all the questions swirling around him and his game and the playoffs coming and things like that, and I'm talking about the game that's right now, San Antonio Spurs and the system that he's in right now. Coming off of a game like this, I look at it like this. Defensively, I feel like there's a couple of things that he's got to adjust to getting ready for the playoffs, because we saw it with the Nuggets. They exposed that side of things. Portland attacked a little bit, but not much. Offensively, I'm not worried about him. He can score. He's smart enough to know when to go, when to get others involved, things like that. But when you're in the San Antonio system, it all starts defensively, and I feel like there's a couple of things that I want to see him do against the Dallas and against the Denver. All right, so at this point, he's a smart enough basketball player to keep himself out of certain situations. But if you're me and if you're asking, the player, I want to see him out there.
I was laughing, and I probably should have texted you, because you and I, as we know, we've had that microscope burning on his defense, and there was the sequence right before the end of the first half where he gave the take foul with 3 seconds left, and then promptly got called.
Got another
for
foul.
The next one 2 seconds later, and it was a second and third fouls.
Yeah, but again, so he has 3 right going into the second half. What did he end the game with?
What did he end with? 3, I'm assuming.
3. Yeah. So
is what it is. They got the dub. He played well. No one's paying that close of attention to it
exactly.
Unlike us. Hey, might as well show him love, because usually we I don't want to say we give him a hard time, but we're certainly cynical about De'Aaron Fox, but tonight he deserves his flowers.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
25 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, hit half of his 20 shots. The nice little bit of momentum he needs to get going as the playoffs are right around the corner.
Yeah, we all know that he uses his quickness to get to the goal. He's really good when you set that high pick and roll near half court, where he's able to navigate and get into the lane from there. But it's the catch and shoot threes. He continues to do that. Wemby steps on the floor. You got a dynamic 1-2-3 punch with Wemby and Castle and him. So I look forward to it. This is momentum that he needed, and I look forward to nothing but positive things moving forward.
Yeah, this is absolutely a positive sign going forward, because it felt like there was just kind of a it's tough to use the word stagnation, but maybe I'm not bright enough to think of another word at a moment at this moment, but felt like kind of there was like a stagnation, a plateau, so to speak, over the past 2-3 weeks. And to see him in this spot, to do the things that he did, to lead the way and hit a couple big shots, make a couple big plays when Portland was on the move inside 5 minutes to go. Very encouraging to see. And again, just another option that Mitch Johnson's going to have to work with when the playoffs start in a very short while from now. Shout out to you guys at home on your way out the door. Let us know where you're checking in from. And I know like we said from the jump, a lot of new viewers tonight, as we're also live on the Locked On NBA and Locked On Podcast Network channels. So if you're there watching us, or if you're there visiting those channels as well, be sure to give them a sub. And hey, vice versa, if you guys coming in and enjoy what you see out of Devin and I like to think we do a pretty good job, in my biased and unbiased opinion. Be sure to show us some love on the way out the door. We appreciate it. Next time you can catch us will be tomorrow, the Spurs Squad Show, 9:15, right here on Locked On Spurs. Our buddy Matthew Tynan will be with us, of course, the host of the Day-to-Day title pod, aptly called Locked On Spurs, as you know. And a new edition of that, bright and early in the AM tomorrow, Thursday. So start your day with him, end your day with us. And of course, next postcast Friday after Spurs Mavericks, a 7 o'clock tip time. Devin and I, as always, will be right back at the end of it. Appreciate everyone hanging out, especially off of a good win. Oh my goodness, I say that, and I asked about the chat, and I would have just caught myself off guard because we have Mumbai, India in the chat. Wow.
Very nice.
Wow. That is awesome. That is awesome. Wow. Appreciate that. That's really cool. All right. Yeah, we got to get out of here. So for my good buddy, Mr. NBA champion, Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. Talk to you guys tomorrow, and enjoy the victory.